This is a fascinating story. Thousands of CCJs, as they're called, are signed off each day, sometimes without the person who is the target of that judgment even knowing, because the paperwork's gone to the wrong address. And the problem only surfaces when they then apply for, say, a credit card or a mortgage or a loan, and they discover their credit rating has gone down the tubes. An investigation by the Daily Mail has uncovered some worrying cases where people's homes and livelihoods have been seriously affected. We're going to hear from one man who says he lost £30,000 worth of business. Maybe something similar happened to you. Do tell us your story. 0500 288 291. Email vine@bbc.co.uk. We're going to speak to Baroness Ros Altman later because she's raising it in the House of Lords. We've got a specialist on this at Darlington Solicitors listening. First, let's go to Bob Long. Now, Bob is a jeweller and pawnbroker in Bungay in Suffolk. Hi, Bob.
Hi there, Jeremy. How are you?
And we're well, thanks. You went to the bank for a loan and you realised, unfortunately, you'd been the subject of a CCJ.
Yep, totally unaware of it. Didn't really know anything about credit scores and all that stuff. I never had any problems. The nature of my business, we like banks, we all run on credit. And I normally go to the bank, get an overdraft facility or a loan or whatever. Anyway, in this instance, they said, sorry, you've been thrown out because of your credit rate score. I said, what do you mean? The bank said, well, we can't really help you, but you have to go and sort that out yourself. So Julie went on Experian and another one, and my credit score was been badly demolished, and I had a CCJ in Northampton Crown Court.
And we should say Experian is one of those websites which will keep track of the information held on you, so you can find out. But you didn't know about it.
Didn't have a clue.
Wow. And so how did you have a CCJ case against you without knowing?
Right. What happened? I stayed at the Radisson Blu Hotel, and I was doing some business there with a colleague of mine. And next door to the hotel, the Radisson Blu, this is at Stansted, there's a car park owned by Parking Eye. It's not owned by Radisson Blu, but they work hand in hand. You go to the parking thing, and all the meters were all taped up, and I'd already been there before and nearly got caught by mistake, thinking, oh well, all the machines are all taped up, I can have a bit of a freebie car park. But no, I was totally on the ball with this one. You have to take your registration number to the concierge in the hotel. You duly give them your details, and if you're staying at the hotel or spending more than 30 quid or whatever, you get free parking. Right. Anyway, unbeknowingly to me, they got my registration wrong. They put down a 0 instead of an O.
Oh, this drives me nuts. Why do we have the O and the 0 look the same? It's madness.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I duly gave over the correct registration number. The concierge, unbeknowingly to me, wrote it down incorrectly. And anyway, the camera in the car park obviously took the picture of my number plate, but it didn't tie up with what the Radisson Blu had written down.
Okay, so to cut a long story short, the letter went to your old address or something, did it?
The parking ticket went to my old address.
Wasn't paid.
It wasn't paid. I duly got a court summons, which I wasn't aware of. If I hadn't been aware of it, I would have battled it out. Anyway, cut a long story short, I got this CCJ against me for it was originally a £70 ticket, and it rose to 170, but I was totally unaware of it. Yeah. I wouldn't have jeopardised my business or my police record or whatever you want to call it for 70.
Sure, and Bob, the impact on you and your business has been what? How much money do you think you've lost?
Well, it lost me my Christmas trade because I couldn't get the money for what I wanted to buy my Christmas stock, and I had what they call an estimated profit of about 30,000.
What's the steam train in the background there?
It's my mobile phone. I've just turned it off.
Oh. All right, thank you for that. Actually, you might want to stay with us. We've got Professor David Rosen of Darlington Solicitors with us. He's also a professor who lectures on law at Brunel University in London. And that's a classic story there, David, isn't it?
It is, Jeremy, and I have deep sympathies for Bob, although I'm not going to go into the Parking Eye case itself. The way county court judgments work is that you have to get an order of court requiring a losing party or defendant to pay a sum of money. But in order to get to that position, you issue proceedings, you issue a claim form in a county court, and that claim form is then sent to the person who now becomes a defendant, and that person then has 14 days to reply and say whether they're going to accept the case or they're going to defend it. If they don't do anything, they get a default judgment. If they say they're going to reply and then they don't reply 28 days later and they don't put a defence in, they get, again, there's a default judgment.
Judgment against them, yeah, which stands on their record in some way.
Well, it does and it doesn't. See, if the sum is paid within 30 days of you knowing of the judgment being entered, then it doesn't register anywhere. It doesn't affect your credit history. And interestingly, if it remains there and you do nothing with it, it stays there for 6 years and then it's removed automatically.
Right. But the problem, I suppose, comes when you have a judgment against you because you ignored a notice you didn't know was issued. And this seems to now be a big story because so many people in Bob's situation where it's sent to the wrong address.
I agree, and he's not the first, and we get many calls about this in my office on a daily basis. What happens is they go to these companies. They go to the DVLA database. They go possibly to the electoral roll register, but generally it's going to be a DVLA database. They've just taken a number plate, and they will take the address on the DVLA. If you have not updated your address on the DVLA, it's going to go to the wrong address.
Yeah. So how that's not your fault, is it?
Well,
I suppose it is because you haven't updated.
The obligation.
Are you still there, Bob? Can you help us on that? Did you update your address with a DVLA?
Right, it was all within a month period, literally within a month, where my house was sold, and literally 2 weeks after it was sold, I informed DVLA, but it takes 4 to 6 weeks for their records to be updated, because I did query this.
So then, David, presumably people have got a responsibility to find mail at their old address, have they?
Yeah, I think, well, look, what's happened with Bob is he's caught in a disastrous point between moving houses and DVLA not being updated, and that's what I'm understanding he's saying. But the way you get round this is you set up credit checks with these credit agencies, and they will alert you on your text.
You've got to pay for that.
You do, but
it's really annoying.
It can be, but it's one of the ways of getting out of having a huge problem against you.
I'm sensing you don't have a lot of sympathy, David, with people who've got these CCJs.
Oh, I do. You're very wrong. I do have sympathy. The way you set aside a judgment is that, one, you have to show that it was sent to the wrong address, but the second position is that you have to show that you have a reasonable prospect of successfully defending the case. Now, it sounds like he had a great case, but what happened with him, with Bob, is that it was all happening right at the same time, and the court system wouldn't have been quick enough for him to apply to set it aside. So it would have been delayed anyway.
Thank you very much, Professor David Rosen of Darlington Solicitors.